Okay, today, secrets of success. You may know some of these and you may not know some others. I was going to start off by saying, first of all, you have to have a good product or service because very seldom will you be a very successful person by working as a Johnny Lunch Bucket, a 9 to 5 guy, even if you're talented, unless you go with one of these new companies like Microsoft used to be 20 years ago, and then you're one of the original founder stockholders, sure, then you can get very rich. But that's, come on, 1 in a million. So, generally speaking, you have to be the boss. You have to have your own product or service. Well, originally I was going to say it better be a good idea because some ideas just can never make it no matter how hard you try. I have a kid. Will you believe this? And he, a few years ago, wanted to go into a business. What's this plastic cases? They're called well, anyway, whatever they're called. They have parties where you have a plastic case to keep your food leftovers in. And what happens to a lot of people is they put their leftovers in, they forget about them, and then 2 weeks later they've got something very smelly and rotten in their refrigerator. Okay, so my kid said, you know what? I got the greatest idea. I'm going to put a little dial on the top of these plastic cases and like an alarm clock. It'll, we'll put in, let's say, Monday, the 13th of January. And then I'll say on the 17th, it's going to go beep, 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 and never stop until the battery in the container wears out. And that'll prevent food getting rotten. And I said, well, that battery and all this technical stuff, that's going to cost a lot of money. He said, yeah, yeah. The regular container costs 50 cents or 50 euro cents. And my container is going to cost $5. I said, what a shitty, oh, pardon me, I can't say that on this, on YouTube. So what a bad idea. And he says, okay, well, you think it's so bad, I won't do it. Okay, now, first advice, suppose you have a bad idea and suppose you do it. And suppose it fails so badly that all the advice I'm going to give you after this just won't revive a dead corpse. It won't work no matter what you do. Is that a good idea to do it? Yes, because you learn from your mistakes. And there's very few hugely successful people in any business who haven't made a lot of mistakes at the beginning and either promoted the wrong product or did something very wrong. Okay, so now let's assume you've got your project, some product, some service. What do you have to do to make it a, a success? What's success? Usually measured by money. But if you're a musician and you want to be a concert pianist or successful in some non-monetary thing, all these rules will apply. Okay, the first one I call doggedness. You keep doing it and working at it because every business, everything you do, playing the piano there's always difficulty. There's always problem. You sprain your finger learning how to play a piano. Uh, Never give up. That is your first key to success. You keep at it until you're absolutely sure it's an abysmal failure. Now, sometimes when you're doing something, you feel, it's a bad day. It just isn't worth the effort. Everybody feels that. When I was making my first million years and years ago, a client gave me a real hard time and called me names. And I said, this isn't worth the effort. I'm going to do something else. Bad idea. Because if you're successful, you have to pretend enthusiasm, convince yourself. There's an old song, just a little bit of honey makes the medicine go down. Well, the point is, you have to do something to reignite your passion. Even if you've been doing something and attempting for too long and the project has lost its shine, you have to be passionate about what you're doing because passion and doggedness overlap. They require a lot of endurance and what I call resilience. Resilience means you have a setback or a failure, you come back. So always remember the why you are doing whatever you're doing. Write it down. Why am I doing this? And then hopefully that'll be like a pep talk for yourself, and you'll discover the joy of persistence. Next, priority. Give your full dedication to something important to you. Tinker with the product or your way of advertising it or contacting other people until you get it to work. And now you're always going to get bad advice from others and negativity. There was once a politician that talked about nabobs of negativity. Well, there's always people that will say, hey, you can't do it. You'll never win. Why are you bothering? You're an idiot. Why don't you get a job? My mother used to say that to me. Not an idiot, but she said, get a job. You could wear a nice suit. You could have clean fingernails and you'd get a regular paycheck. And a lot of people who worked for me that I was trying to convince to become entrepreneurs, they said, nah, I don't want the bother. I can see how much stress you have. I don't want it. I want to just come to work at 9 o'clock, have a list of things to do, leave at 5, have a nice lunch hour, and that's it. I don't want to have my own business. But they're never going to be millionaires, but they don't want to be. So you have to be motivated. And now the final trait is I call commitment. There's always a lot of options in life. You're facing a wall and there's lots of doors. You have to choose one. You have to forego all the other options and give all your attention to your main goal. Does that mean you can't have any fun? You can't have any pleasure? Well, I didn't consider my pursuit of attractive women an option. It was something separate. And so when I was done working, I would still go out to good dinners and date nice women, but basically you can't have too many projects. The only person I've ever heard of who is successful at many projects is this Elon Musk. He has a tunneling company, a car company, builds homes. He does a half a dozen things, but even he acknowledges some of them don't have a future. But very few people can juggle many balls. You, at least for starters, until your first project is very successful, should concentrate on one thing and forego all your other options. Open one door, keep at it until it either succeeds or there's no chance of success. And that is my secret of success. You'll see that I've made about 100 videos. Oh, they all get 50 to 75 views, but one hit the jackpot and has at this time 8,000 views roughly. And that is me trying to rent an apartment in Campione d'Italia. So if you don't look at any of my other videos, go and look at that one because by accident, one of my poorer videos became the most successful. And that is it for today. Okay, I hope you liked this video. It took a lot of work to put it together, so I want you to like it, subscribe, tell your friends about it, share, and comment. I love your comments, and I'll answer every single one of them. And beside that, I'll see you tomorrow because I'm going to have another exciting video for you. Boy, is it going to be good.